Okay, fine. And the whole story with Yosef, with the goblet, they plant the becha, the goblet of the coast of Yosef, the sack of Binyamin. So when they said, they accused them of stealing the coast of Yosef. So they said, we have a kavachomer. If we return the money, if we return the money that came back, that in our sacks, we brought it back from Israel, Eretz Israel to Mitzrayim. You think we're going to steal? You think we're going to steal your goblet? And they said, if you would find the goblet in anybody's sack, that person should die, and we would all be slaves. And Yosef says, no. The guy, if I find it, I'm going to read you the language of the Pasuk. We're just sharing a little in honor of Shabbat. We're sharing a Torah that I read from Rabbi David Feinstein. Okay, so I'm going to read you the Psukim. And they said the following. The end of Parshas Miketz, they asked, they accused them of stealing the goblet. So they said, how can that be? You think we would steal? If we return the money, this is, by the way, Rashi says this is one of the 10 kal v'chomer of the Torah. In the Torah, the 10 times that you find the kal v'chomer in the Torah, this is one of the 10. And they said, what? Kal v'chomer. And they said, how could it be if we returned the money to you that we found in our sack? You think we're going to steal? The guy who you find the goblet, if the person whoever stole that goblet would die, and we would be servants, we would be slaves if that happened, if one of us did it. So the other person said, you're right. It should be so that if that happens, you would all be responsible. But I'm going to go lifnim mishuratat. I'm going to go something above the letter of the law. The one who I find the goblet, he's going to be the servant, and everybody else can go home. That was the response of the person representing Yosef, who was accusing. Yosef told to the man on top of his house to run after the people and catch them, right? And so the person who was running after the people representing Yosef, the security, he told the guys, no, we're not going to take all of you guys. We would just take the guy who stole it will be a slave. Not he won't have to get killed, and everybody else will go home. And then hurry up. They open up their sack, and they found it in the place in the sack of Binyamin. That was the story, correct? Now, so Rashi says, Avzu min hadin. This is, you're right. That is the halacha. That's the law. That if you all would be responsible, if you have 10 people that something that was stolen was found in the hand of one of them, they're all obligated. 10 people, something was found by one of the 10, they're all responsible. They're all but I'm going to go above the letter of the law. That's what Rashi explains. Now I'm thinking, I wonder if it's a David Feinstein or it was from a Moshe Feinstein. Maybe it's a Moshe Feinstein. I have to remind myself. There's no such halacha if you have 10 people. If let's say in this room, 10 people, we have 10 people in a room, and one person steals. Does everyone's responsible? There's no such halacha. The guy who stole is the one who's responsible. You don't hold everybody accountable. So what are the brothers offering? Number one, the one who you find the gaba, they all have to be slaves. They didn't steal. And what is Rashi? There's no such halacha. If 10 people, if you have a group of 10 people, and one of them stole, that they're all responsible. They're all you could lock everybody up for it. So how could they say this is the law that really they're all responsible, but you're going to go above the letter of law? Is that clear? The question? So, there's a question clear?
Yeah, above the law is to punish the 10. It's not to
Right. Above law is to punish the 10. How can you? What does Rashi say that you're right? This is the law that you all respond. Kulchem chayavim b'davar. Yeah, are we all obligated? Only the guy who stole is obligated. Oh, so Mr. Safdie said, Ramosha. Wait, I'll tell you how Ramosha I think it's said. Explained very good. But what you're saying very good is that if you have a group of people, you have a class, you have people that are tight, brothers. If stealing would be so disgusting that no one would be willing to steal, if it's so incorrect, if it's so abhorrent, that's a good word, Yehuda? If it's so abhorrent, if it's so looked down upon to steal, then no one would feel comfortable to even steal. But if one is willing to steal, it must be that the group did not project how terrible that sin is. Maybe, and therefore, they all will be responsible. Not that all will be responsible, literally, they'll all be responsible to be locked up, technically. Maybe that's what the brothers offered. Well, the brothers offered that because maybe they would feel that would be a kapara, an atonement for them having, and if any one of them stole, that means we all have done something wrong. That's how they look at themselves. And that's what Rashi means, you're all chayavim b'davar. You're all responsible. So sometimes people have to ask themselves, how are they talking about certain things? How do they project certain averot? Is it clear to all the members of the household how disgusted it would be, how looked down upon it would be if someone would do such a sin? And if the environment, if a person is willing to go ahead and do certain types of sins, many times the environment that the person was involved with is responsible because they allowed such an environment to grow. So that was just, I thought, an interesting idea that people have to ask themselves. Sometimes if you're part of your class or a member of the workplace or whoever people are part of a group, we have to understand how your influence or non-influence on the person is responsible for that, for allowing a person to feel comfortable to do certain sins. And that, I think, is really what's happening today in the environment that we live here in the United States. Because the environment is it's tolerating in a very many types of sins, so people feel empowered, people feel comfortable to do many sins. Okay, that was just, I think it stuck out by me, this idea of responsibility. That was how I heard it or saw it from, that's, okay. Good morning, everybody. Now we're getting to the Gemara part. We are on Yud Zayin Amar Aleph. We're on 17a. 17a, where we are? 17a4? 17a4. What we just started, we started the Gemara, and the Gemara had said that Reb Shimon is Reb Shimon or Rabbi Akiva, and they both hold that the recital of the psukim, of the verses that are connected with the bikurim, with the bringing of the first fruits that Israel is known from, the 7 species of the land of Israel, you have to bring to the Kohen, to the Beis HaMikdash. And we said that the recital of those psukim are so vital that the Kohen would eat the bikurim before the recital of those psukim, the Kohen is liable to get lashes, Makkos. And the Gemara said we had Reb Shimon had already went on record to say that. So what does the Gemara say? Rabbi Yochanan says that's Rabbi Akiva's opinion. It's as well. The idea that if somebody goes ahead and brings the first fruits to the base of Mikdash, the Kohen eats it without the recital of the psukim from the person who brought the first fruits, the Kohen is subject to lashes. And that's the opinion of Rabbi Akiva and the opinion of Rabbi Shimon. The Gemara said, Rabbi Shimon, we already know. We already had on record. Where is Rabbi Shimon on record? That Rabbi Shimon said that he's subject to lashes. That's why our Gemara, Safi, is that clear? That's what the Gemara is saying now, right? So the Gemara says the following, a very fascinating Braita, the Tanya. We learned in the Braita. The Pasuk says, Trumat Yadecha. The Torah says you cannot eat your first fruits, which is Trumat Yadecha, as Rashi says, because the Torah talks about the Kohen taking the tena, Yadecha, he takes the basket of fruit from your hand. Yadecha, the Trumat Yadecha is referring to Bikurim, it's referring to the first fruits. And when the Torah says, you can't eat these first fruits in your gate. So what does in your gate seem to indicate? In your gate sounds to indicate in the privacy of your own home. Meaning to say, the Bikurim has to be eaten in Yerushalayim. That's what would seem to be the literal meaning, the pshuto shel mikra, that you can't eat the Kohen cannot eat the Bikurim outside Yerushalayim. Just like Maaseh Sheni can't be eaten outside Yerushalayim, the Bikurim can't be eaten outside Yerushalayim. So Amar of Shimon, the Trumas Tanya, Amar of Shimon, Ma Bozel Lamdeinu. What is this verse? What is this pasuk coming to teach us? If you're telling me it's coming to teach us, you can't eat it outside the wall. We can learn it from a kal v'chomer. We don't need a pasuk to tell us that you can't eat it out. Can't eat the bikurim, the first fruit, out of Yerushalayim. We already have a precedent from Maaseh Sheni that Maaseh Sheni cannot be eaten outside Yerushalayim, and bikurim is more strict than Maaseh Sheni. If Maaseh Sheni, which is not as strict in its laws as bikurim, cannot be eaten outside Yerushalayim, so certainly the bikurim fruits cannot be eaten outside Yerushalayim. Now, the Gemara later on is going to say, what do you say? Bikurim is like Truma, and the Gemara is going to say, what is this? The Gemara is going to say on Amud Beis that Bikurim, like you said, Yaron, it's like Truma. It's forbidden to Zarim. Non-Kohen cannot eat Bikurim. So the level of the holiness is higher. So therefore, it's more serious, it's more strict, it's more chamur than Maaseh Sheni, at least according to Rabbi Shimon's understanding. And if Maaseh Sheni you can't eat outside Yerushalayim, which could be, Maaseh Sheni is eaten by Yisrael, non-Kohen, so certainly Bikurim, which is eaten only by Kohen, certainly cannot be eaten outside Yerushalayim. That's what the Gemara says, and therefore, Rabbi Shimon says, we can't translate the pasuk to mean literally that it's coming to teach us this law, because we don't need the pasuk to teach us that law. So it has to be teaching us something else.
You don't need the pasuk.
You don't need the pasuk of Trumat Yadecha. You can't eat bikurim outside the walls of Yerushalayim from Maaseh Sheni, because bikurim is stricter than Maaseh Sheni. Exactly. So what is it coming to teach us? He said, and then the Gemara says, and let's read inside. If it's teaching us you can't eat it outside the wall, We would have learned that from a kavachoma, from Maisa, which is kal, which is lighter in general than bikurim. What will be the kavachoma? Uma masa hakal, masa sheni, that is lighter. Uchlan chutz lechoma lokeh. If you eat it outside the wall, there's malkut. So bikurim lo koshike. So bikurim, how much more so would be subject to malkut? Now the Gemara, by the way, on the next page, is going to ask the question: don't we have? Are we able to learn out a ashara, a warning for a sin, from a kavachomer? That's what the Gemara later on is, because we've had that concept before, that you can't learn out a punishment or we'll have to see, could you learn out a punishment? Could you learn out a prohibition? Can you learn out a prohibition? But the Torah is teaching us not to do something from a kavachomer. Maybe we don't, we say we don't learn out a ashara, a warning, to give someone lashes on something. The Torah itself has to say it black and white, not to do the sin. Because the Torah doesn't tell you black and white not to do the sin, and you're going to say you want to learn it out from, and you want to learn it out from some other law in the Torah. We don't do that. That is a general rule. We don't learn out a prohibition from a kavachomer. So that's going to be the Gemara. We'll have to deal with Bez Hashem. Hopefully we'll get to next week. But we're just taking the Gemara, what he's saying at this point. He's saying we would have had a kavachomer.
But we're going to read the pasuk. We did the pasuk. Because now we say there's a pasuk. After we say we don't need it, we learn from the kavachomer. Maybe at the end of the day, we're going to lead the pasuk.
Yeah, but the question is, how can you even say we don't need this pasuk for teaching you bikurim outside the walls of Yerushalayim? You do need it. You can't learn out from Master Sheni. Even if it's a great kavachoma, you can have the best kavachoma from today to tomorrow. But if you're learning out a prohibition, to create a prohibition, and you want to give the guy lashes as a result of that limud that you're learning out, you want to give him lashes, you can't do that from a kavachoma. And I think I once, there was someone, we once saw, one of the Meforshim says, a svara which not everybody buys, is that you want to punish somebody from a kavachoma. What happens if your kavachoma is wrong? And you're giving a guy punishment from something which, when maybe you're making a mistake in the kavachoma. I don't buy that shot so much, because if it's a kavachoma, it's if you dayan only the way you see it. If you see it's a kavachoma, it's a kavachoma. You don't need to be worried that maybe you're making a mistake. It's one of the ways that Torah is addressed for him, is kavachoma. So that doesn't sit so well with me, that concern. Meaning, why don't we learn out a prohibition from kavachoma? You hear the question, why don't we learn a prohibition from kavachoma? Why can't you? Okay, but that's the fact. So the commentaries try to explain what's the reason behind it. Why this okay. Yeah, new prohibition, it's not in the Torah.
I would think it's a problem with not adding. It's one thing to say the same punishment should apply if the Torah doesn't specify the punishment. But to say that a whole new prohibition, the Torah never said anything related to this.
Very good, very good. But since kavachomer, the Yud Gimel Midot HaTorah Medreshet Behem, and kavachomer is one of the things that the Torah. So that would be part and parcel of what the Torah is talking. The same way when you have a Gzeira Shaveh. The Torah says one word here, one word there. It's as if it's written in the Torah. It's a biblical law. Torah is teaching you by saying the same word, Chamisha Asa Pesach, Chamisha Asa Sukkot, to teach you a certain halakha. So if the concept, and since the concept of kavachomer is a biblical law, like kavachomer, so like the Gemara says sometimes, svarahu, lama likra. That means what you're learning from the Kal Vachomer would be, that's what the Torah is saying. If you have a Kal Vachomer, that means that's what it's saying. That I shouldn't be considered. Adding to the Torah will be saying something that the Torah doesn't say. That's, again, I wonder if anybody touches on your svara. You know what I'm saying? I'm just giving you why the question on your svara.
Rabbi, why the breakdown would just be the technology? We don't really care about when we can eat the korban, the bikurim. We're trying to find out with the Mishnah what mean you get the Kohen will get Makkos. You will get Makkos for
Very good. Very good. Okay. Very good. So say, here we go. Right here. Stay tuned. Here we go. So the Gemara says, "Hello." So therefore, it's not coming to teach us. If Shimon says that you can't eat the bikurim outside Jerusalem, so hello, bar kasuv hakatuv, ela lo'ochlon lo'ochel bikurim ad shelo kar aleihem. If you ate the bikurim before you read the psukim, you ate the bikurim before you read the psukim. The Kohen ate the first fruit before he read the psukim. Shehu lokeh, that he's subject to lashes. That is what the Gemara is saying. It's coming. Good morning, Jaime. Welcome. We welcome you. So that is what Rabbi Shimon says, how he understands the pasuk. We're trying to expound upon a pasuk where the Torah says you can't eat in your personal house, in your personal gates of your house, meaning outside Jerusalem. There are certain things you can't eat outside Jerusalem. And that's how the pasuk, the literal meaning of the verse. You can't eat Maaseh Sheni, as we spoke about recently this week. So the pasuk says, and the pasuk mentions many things that you can't eat outside Jerusalem. And Rabbi Shimon understands that the pasuk is coming to teach us it's not to be taken literally for those items, because many of those items we would know from a Kal Vachomer, we would know from logic, so to speak, that if something else which is lighter than this one can't be eaten outside Jerusalem, certainly this can't be eaten outside Jerusalem, and therefore he says the Torah is coming to teach us. There's some other law that the Torah is trying to teach us by stating this law. Sometimes you can mention something which there's a literal meaning of the verse which seems to be telling us a certain law, but if that law is obvious, so then when the Torah is telling us this idea, the Torah it has some other idea. It's obviously meaning to say the Gemara is saying when the Torah says you can't eat in your gates, and the Torah, the pasuk concludes you can't eat the bikurim in your gates, you can't eat the bikurim outside Jerusalem. The Gemara says it's not coming for that. It's not only coming to tell us that law, because that law we could figure out from a Kal Vachomer. Because if you can't eat Maaseh Sheni, which is not as holy as bikurim, bikurim is like truma. Bikurim could only be in the 7 fruits that you bring from the first fruits are only given is only eaten by Kohen. When Maaseh Sheni is eaten even by a non-Kohen, so certainly if Maaseh Sheni, which is eaten by a non-Kohen, cannot be eaten outside Jerusalem, certainly bikurim can't be eaten outside Jerusalem. So therefore the pasuk has some other. It's an amazing concept. This concept, there's the written law and there's the oral law, right? That means when the Torah was given, it was given with an explanation. What does the meaning? So therefore, sometimes the Torah could write something which the literal meaning means A, but that's not. But that's not the meaning. That's not what the pasuk is really coming to teach you. But it writes it in that fashion for whatever reason. It writes it in that fashion. Like Rabbi Feinstein, this I remember hearing very clearly from Rabbi David Feinstein. The Torah says an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, a foot for a foot. So if Feinstein asks, and we know it does not mean eye for an eye literally, does not mean a foot for a foot. So why does the Torah say eye for an eye? Why does the Torah say foot for a foot? You hear the question, Yaron? Why does the Torah say eye for an eye? If you don't pay, you don't knock out someone's eye. If he knocks out someone's eye, what do? You pay for the eye. So Rav Feinstein explained, if the Torah were just right, you pay for an eye if you knock out someone's eye, so someone might not be sensitized to the seriousness of the sin. You know what? A person might just say, okay, put it on the credit card. I'll pay it on the credit card. But if the Torah writes, if someone knocks out someone's eye, his eye should be knocked out, then he's going to have a total different, he's going to be extra careful. Because even the person who could afford it and put on the credit card can't afford to have his eye knocked out. So therefore, by writing in such a fashion, you hear that, Mr. Safdie? The Musa, the Torah is teaching us Musa, a lesson how much to be careful not to knock out someone's eye by writing in such a way. So here there's an amazing concept, that there's a concept that the Torah could write something. But the meaning, what the Pasuk is coming to teach us is not to be taken literally from what the Torah writes it. And that just shows you. And you know what? It shows you how important, how significant is the oral law. Because the oral law explains, the Gemara, the oral law, which is the oral law, is Torah was given with an explanation. We looking at the Chumash by itself without explanation is not kosher, because you make mistakes. That's not what the Torah has an explanation. And every time the Torah writes something and it's not needed for this, it's coming to tell you something else. So obviously there's a musar, there's some reason why the Torah writes it in this fashion, but it's coming for something else sometimes. I was, let's say, somewhere, and a certain rabbi opens up a chumash, and he starts talking about things that he should not be saying, like let's say, by Yaakov Avinu, what Yaakov says, if Hashem will be with me and watch me, and the guy starts talking about, he takes the verse literally, the rabbi starts saying, Yaakov had a question of faith in God. What kind of craziness the rabbi was saying, a very modern rabbi. How do you talk like that? I went over to the rabbi afterwards. I'm telling you, I had to start. I went over to the rabbi. I went over to him, very nice, I said to him, then whatever his response was, I said, there's a Torah Shabbat Peh, I told the rabbi. Jaime, what do you think, Jaime? I told the rabbi there's an oral law. How to explain a verse.
One thing I'm sure of is that you approached him very respectfully.
Very respectfully, yes, very respectfully. But I say, you're right, Jaime. But I did it privately. I don't want to embarrass the rabbi. But you can't just look at a pasuk in the Torah and just come up with if you're going to say something negative, you want to say you have an insight of the Torah, okay. But an insight which goes against, which makes no sense, to say Yaakov Avinu has a question of faith. How could a rabbi say such a thing? Rabbi, but he says that's what it says in the pasuk. I said, what do you mean? There's no explanation on the verse? Do you know there's an explanation? The Torah comes with explanation. And then he said something wild. I said, like we have Rashi. He said Rashi came later. I said Rashi came later. I said, Rashi is the explanation of the Torah. Rashi is the Torah Shabbat Peh. Rashi is not some commentator came 1,000 years ago. He's post Torah. It was like very, very, very. I don't know what I want to say. It was very sad, that story. And right, that's the story that we need to help. We need to educate the people. That's what I was trying to do, right?
Yeah.
I was trying to educate the people. Okay. But you're not to be weird, right? The people are saying, right? Right, had a question of faith. Is that ridiculous? Right. The people, right? Is that ridiculous? We need to educate people. People need to. What can I tell you? Okay, that's our job, to educate the people. Okay, so the Gemara continues. Now, the pasuk is coming to tell us that if he eats the bikurim, you can't eat the bikurim in your gates. What is it coming to refer to? You can't eat the bikurim before the person. Good morning. Good to see you. 2 days in a row, we see you on the screen. I noticed you yesterday too, by the way, with the holy tefillin on. Beautiful.
Good morning.
I went
morning.
fishing. I caught a fish.
A big fish,
Yeah,
a big
no,
man,
thank you.
a great man.
Thank you,
Okay.
Rabbi. Good to see you. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you very much. So that's what the pasuk is coming to teach us. Look at that. Good morning. So the pasuk is teaching us that if a person would eat the bikurim, the first fruits, before the recital of psukim, there is malkut. That there is lashes. That's what the pasuk is telling us. You can't eat it in your gates. This is called im ena inyan. If it's not needed for this pasuk, it's coming to teach us something else. And we would give land because that's what the pasuk is teaching us. Ariel, just to bring you up to date, we're talking about if a person eats the first fruits of the 7 species of the land of Israel, when you'll be doing some of your planting in the Holy Land, you have to bring to the Kohen. And there's certain psukim that when you bring it, you have to say certain things and express appreciation to Hashem, bringing you to the Holy Land, and and the difficulties we had in Egypt, and it came to the Holy Land, and thank God things are doing very well for you. That's what you need to express. But if you did not express it when you give and the Kohen and you gave it to the Kohen the fruits, if the Kohen will eat the fruits before you say the expression and of thanks. So there's an opinion of Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yehuda that a person would be Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shimon that there'll be lashes. If we warn the Kohen, don't eat it until the person says his thanks to God, and you eat it first, and the Kohen eats it prematurely, there is an opinion that says there'll be lashes. That's what the Gemara was talking about.
Rabbi, we didn't say that Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shimon, they didn't mention the Karara, they mentioned to put on the Mizbeach.
We're focusing on Rabbi Shimon.
Yeah, but Rabbi Shimon said the order of the Mishnah is Rabbi Shimon because Rabbi Akiva learned like Rabbi Shimon, but we say we're going to call that the order of the Mishnah is Rabbi Shimon.
Right, but
we say to put on the Mizbeach.
No, Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon. No, our Mishnah does not talk about Mizbeach.
No, the Mishnah, but the Gemara.
No, the Gemara, the Chachamim. The Chachamim say there's another mitzvah. There's a mitzvah to put the first fruits when you bring it to the Beit HaMikdash. You place it in front of the Mizbeach, in front of the altar. The Chachamim say if that wasn't done, that's where there's a prohibition for the Kohen to eat it. If he eats it before it was placed in front of him, that's the Chachamim. Okay. So the Gemara says the following. V'nidvotecha. The Torah said, the pasuk says, v'nidvotecha, your donations, your nedava, you may get given a dava, a donation. The pasuk says you can't eat that item that you bring as a donation. You can't eat it in your gates. So the Gemara says, zu todah ushlamim. The korban todah, the korban of thanks, right? A person was in jail and he gets free from jail, or a person was sick and he got better. That's the type of case that a person will go ahead and bring a todah, a thanksgiving offering, or a shlamim. A person goes ahead and he wants to bring a korban shlamim. What did you say?
Exactly.
Like Gomer, so very similar. So Omer Rav Shimon says, "Ma bozel lamdein." What is this pasuk that says that you can't eat your gift that you're bringing to the Beit HaMikdash? You can't eat it outside of Jerusalem in your own gate, which sounds like it's telling us you can't eat it outside of Jerusalem. Right? What is that? Is that how we're going to translate the pasuk? That you can't eat the korban todah, the Thanksgiving offering that you bring to the Beit HaMikdash, or the shlamim. Is this pasuk telling us a prohibition for eating this korban outside the Beit HaMikdash? By the way, there's a fascinating idea by the korban todah. The Thanksgiving offering has 40 breads with it. 40 breads. 30 of the breads are made out of matzah, and 10 made out of chametz. And the 10 chametz equal the size of 30 made out of matzah. So the volume of the 10 chametz equals the 30 of matzah. And I once saw a beautiful idea. And you have one day, that day and night, to eat the Karban Todah. So now, who could eat 40 breads in one day and one night? So what are you going to have to do? What's the guy going to have to do? Invite a lot of people, make a real Thanksgiving dinner or Thanksgiving lunch. Forgive me for saying it like that. Hope that I got to be careful, right, Mr. Safdie? Meaning that's the Thanksgiving that we have. We have a Thanksgiving dinner. We have a Thanksgiving lunch. We preceded everybody else from the 1600s, whatever. We have in the Torah Thanksgiving, and we have a Thanksgiving lunch and dinner that we invite the whole community, most probably, to eat the 40 breads, because we want to share the miracle of because you're giving thanks to Hashem. The guy was in jail. Thank God, God help me get out of jail. The guy was sick. Who's the Rofe Cholei Amo Yisrael? That's Hashem.
You said the
Maybe. He definitely gave thanks to Hashem. We don't say from this week's parasha, he get out of jail. Definitely give thanks to Hashem. So so therefore, you want everyone to know about the miracle, or you want to spread people, inspire people. So the pasuk says, what is this pasuk coming to teach us? If the pasuk is teaching you cannot eat the Karban Todah Shalom outside the wall of Jerusalem, if Ma'aseh Sheni, you can't eat outside Jerusalem. Certainly, you can't eat the Karban Todah and Shlamim. And the Gemara is going to say the Karban Todah and Shlamim, you have to bring on the altar, you have to sprinkle its blood. It's much more holier than Masa Sheni, the food that you eat in Jerusalem. If you can't eat the Masa Sheni fruits outside of Jerusalem, so you can't eat the Shlamim outside Jerusalem. So the Gemara says, Haloba Katuv, if you eat the Todah and the Shlamim before the sprinkling of the blood, because we slaughter the animal and then some of the blood is sprinkled on the altar. So if you jump the gun intentionally and you were warned and you were told, don't do it, you can't eat it yet. You have to wait until the sprinkled blood, and the guy says, I don't care, I'm going to do it anyways. He's subject to lashes. You only give a guy lashes, Ariel, if he intentionally violates something, not for unintentionally. We don't hit a guy, we don't whip a guy if he did something unintentionally, only if he intentionally violates. So that's what it says, that he would get lashes if he ate the Todah and the Shlamim before the sprinkling. And Rashi says that if you can't use it for the other item, you have to use it for this teaching. So we want to wish everyone a beautiful Shabbos, and we want to welcome back our great Ariel, who we missed a lot. Thank you for being back. Every minute counts. Yes. We can keep the same Monday 6:45 or not? If you can, usually it's better for Mr. Safdie, unless. Okay, so
Today with the majority we do so.
Yehuda, what's